Hello and welcome to chapter 158 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing this evening?
Not bad. Work is work sucks. But no,
Yeah,
honestly, I'm not doing too bad.
that's good
Um,
though.
I had a really relaxing weekend. Saturday, I literally just I watched everything I needed to watch for today. Um, Still need to watch Raise the Alliance, and I'm recording tomorrow, but I'll get that tomorrow. But it was just nice relaxing. Like I didn't leave the house. I didn't get out of my pajamas. Literally just sat in the basement, just vegging out, watching TV all night, all day. It was wonderful.
That
How about
sounds
you? How's your
that
weekend?
sounded like my weekend a couple weeks ago, where Allison went to the baby shower and I had the weekend to myself. We
Hmm.
we talked about a certain animated show that isn't the X Men
Which I
that
need
weekend.
to get back on that this
Yeah,
episode.
same, likewise. But I'm doing pretty good, Joe. School started again this week. I have a tough managerial accounting exam on Wednesday, so I've been studying that a lot. Uh, abnormal spillage, abnormal spoilage, normal spoilage. Oh, ugh. But you know what? We have a fun night of things to talk about here. Obviously, I did a little quick initial reaction to this. It was only 30 minutes long. I've been pretty busy since then. You have been as well. And we have not spoken to each other about what we like
No,
and like what we dislike about it. So I'm very excited about that. So we're getting into the DC Universe's Chapter One slate. Joe, I have to ask you because I think you were the last one in the GUA chat to see the announcement and see
I
everything.
literally watched it today. Like I
Yeah,
didn't watch it when it came out because I'm just like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it.
I think I remember seeing a message in the chat saying something along the lines of, "I'm going to go back and look through 300 messages to see what I missed now."
It was 100. It was a lot,
It
but
was a
yeah.
lot.
Because I know, I had an inkling of what was gonna happen. Like, I think I saw the initial tweet at lunch, at my lunch break at work. I'm like, "All right." So I skimmed through what was going on. I'm like, "All right, cool." And then I shut the Twitter. Like, I waited until after work to see the messages because I did not wanna keep up with everybody talking about it at the time. And, we'll get into it here in a bit, but looks promising. I'll say it like that.
Looks, I'm very excited, Joe, to put it mildly. But obviously, we have to do a few things before we get on the go with the show tonight, and mainly that is the network plugs. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 8 shows in total. On Mondays is Ranger Alliance, and that rotates bi-weekly with Slice of Film. On Tuesdays is DC Alliance. On Wednesdays, for the next 5 weeks, is a walk through the multiverse with Joe, where Joe is looking at the hit HBO Max show, The Last of Us. Essentially, when The Last of Us is over, Joe will go back to his original time slot. But while The Last of Us is going strong, Joe is recording and reviewing those shows. I joined him for the first one, and I'm hoping to join him not this week because I have a test on Wednesday, but the following week, finally to get back into the groove of The Last of Us. I've been
And real
really
real
well.
quick with Last of Us, if you guys are watching and you haven't heard yet, the next episode is coming out Friday because they're smart and didn't want to compete with the Super Bowl. I personally would have watched the show
Oh
over the
yeah,
Super Bowl, but they also know that this is a big event. People go watch the Super Bowl. They do. Everybody does that. So yeah, the next episode of The Last of Us will air on HBO and HBO Max Friday. My episode will still come out next Wednesday. A Walk to the Multiverse covering it. So just
so
know there.
so stick with Joe there. And Joe, I really like that's a little intriguing with me with the whole moving from the Super Bowl. I think that it's really another thing that people aren't thinking about is when you come to advertisers, like people want to put commercials out when this because this runs on HBO as well. When you,
Well, it's an HBO show.
yeah.
So and then the minute it drops on HBO, like
Oh
30
yeah.
seconds later, it drops on HBO
But we
Max.
still have those people in cable trying to market their products by using commercial time with hit shows. So I
True.
think if you had a show like The Last of Us where every episode you're increasing your viewership, that
Which
wouldn't be the case if you went to Super Bowl. So this is kind of a
this is
easier way
smart.
to market this. This is really
Exactly.
smart.
Like it's a smart market because even episode 4 had like I don't know, like a 9% increase. It's still just
Yeah.
getting viewers every single episode. And you're gonna try to go up against Super Bowl? No, dude. Like, I'm sorry. I love the show. but even I know that Super Bowl will win out no matter what.
Exactly. And we have on Thursdays, Star Wars Alliance, on Fridays, Marvel Alliance, on Saturdays, for the time being, the Animation Nation, on Sundays, monthly is World's Finest True Believers with Chris Balga. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. All three of those shows also have their own podcast feeds. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you just want Marvel content, DC content, or Star Wars content. But if you want all 8 shows on the GUA Podcast Network, stay subscribed to GUA on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. $1 tier is basically your tip jar. You like what we're doing and you want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes. You get your early access episodes, which patrons, I posted pardon my French, but a shit ton of Patreon content. I posted three early looks at the Animation Nation X-Men the Animated Series episodes. So there's the one that came out on Saturday, plus 3 extra ones for the patrons. I put up a review for a DC animated film that is going out tomorrow. So the review is already up. And as someone who loves to be positive and wants to goes in to each film wanting to love it, it was a rough go. It was a rough go. I'll hold the name, but it's coming out tomorrow. You should know just for a quick search what that is. It will go
I,
up on the feeds,
I
on the
believe I'm
GUA
getting that
podcast
DVD
feed.
in the mail here this week.
Oh,
So,
buddy. Oh, buddy. But it will go up on the GUA feed, but it was early access. And we
or
have
Blu-ray, sorry.
Patreon exclusive episodes as well, where I posted the most recent episode of DC films through the years. Joe, I had no idea I didn't post Superman 4. Mr. Smith
Oh,
writing me, asking me about the broadcast in StreamYard, wanting to know if you could delete some of them. And um, yeah, I was like, that's not posted. So I went back through, figured out, no, I didn't post it. Last one was Supergirl. So that's up there. Apologies, patrons. I thought I already had that posted up there. We also are going through the rest of DC films. This month we'll be hitting up Swamp Thing. So stick with us, patrons, as we do that. We have the Marvel Alliance guys going through their MCU rewatch, not only the films, but the one shots as well. We have Katie going through Star Wars comics with her husband. We have Clay going through shows for the first time, and we have Joel's Multiverse Minutes. That's all of our Patreon stuff. We thank everyone that's a patron, but if you're not, you can take a quick 30 to 60 seconds to rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice. It's always greatly appreciated. It helps other people find the show, and that's always a good thing. Okay, Joe, we are in for some fun tonight. Alan Gaines is very good work by Hero 3 Forge. Yeah, shout out to Hero 3 Forge that made this graphic in the background of the 2023 films and what's coming up in the DCU Chapter 1 slate and the Elseworlds banner as well. So props to them, and thanks, Alan the Game. I might have forgot to give them their props for that background if you didn't mention it there. Hello, Derpy. We have a fun night, like I said, of DCU. Joe, we have the DCU Chapter 1 announcement. I put out my initial thoughts. So before we dive into each project, I want to know what's your favorite thing and what was the thing that surprised you most.
well, the thing that surprised me was the Creature Commandos. Well, Creature Commandos and the Authority. Both of them were two that I didn't think we'd ever see as projects themselves. Creature Commandos, we'll get into it deeper when we talk about it. But the minute they said, I'm like, oh hell, Frankenstein and his bride and all that stuff. Like that's cool. That's out there. But it falls in line with what James Gunn likes to do. Take these weird groups and just make something big with them. The Authority is one of those that I don't know them, the Authority proper. I know of those characters when they started doing Stormwatch in the DC universe. And they're characters that pop up from time to time. I know, similar to with Frankenstein with Creature Commandos, there is was it the New 52 Futures End? I believe that came out. Hell, what was that? 2015. That had Frankenstein in it. I'm pretty sure that had Midnighter in it. Unless I'm confusing him with a different crossover event that happened.
I,
With him and Apollo. But like, there's these characters have been around for some time. They've come and gone in the universe. I think the most recent was Superman and the Authority that came out last year,
Mhm.
which I need to read. I've heard some good things about it.
It was enjoyable. That was one of the ones that I caught as it came out, and that was an enjoyable experience, and it did introduce me to some of the characters there, and that's why I wasn't. Kind of forgot about that, if I'm being honest with you, Joe, and I had to go back. I went back
Go
after
see.
my first initial announcement reaction video, and I went through the Authority and was wondering like what other things that they showed up in DC Comics, and that was there. I was like, oh wait, and then you go back, you refresh yourself, you're like, oh wait, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah, like I
So
said, Stormwatch is the one that stuck out to me because that's where I knew Midnighter, Apollo, all them. Let's see, I like 2 shows a year, max limit with Lanterns and Paradise Lost to be true event HBO shows. Correct all in the game. I
yes,
agree
on
with you
game,
though.
and
Like it honestly though, this all looks great. Like nothing really we had rumors of Boost to Gold because that's the thing that Gunn like promoted a few weeks back. Like this is it's going to be an interesting slate, I think.
I agree with you, Joe. And with the Booster Gold stuff, I figured that would be a character that he dove into, especially with Blue Beetle and him promoting that a little bit. Booster Gold seems like a more obscure character that he knows and he would write very well.
I love
And
Booster Gold. If you want a really good story with Booster Gold in it, go check out 52, the year-long event that came out in 2005, just
okay,
after Infinite Crisis. Yeah,
yeah, so like Joe said, there's so much here. I think what we'll do is go through the films and the movies. On the game too, talk about the two shows a year max limit. I I I like that as well. I find like I really enjoy the Marvel stuff, but even I have had to catch up on some things later, which is when you have other things going on. Normally, I'm watching something day one, like the new Ant-Man film, but I didn't watch Thor for a couple months. You had shows going on at the same time. It seems like a lot at times, but like as someone who wants the content, I like that as well.
and Marvel had they fell into this little like I don't say window, but they had an issue with 2020. They didn't have anything out.
Yeah.
And so, because of the pandemic, so 2021, they already had like 3 or 4 films in the can. They're trying to plan those out. They had the shows planned. So there's a reason why we had so many projects from Marvel in 2021 and 2022
22.
and all back to back. This one, and I'm not saying that we can't have a ton of DC content. We're getting 4 movies this year,
Yeah.
and then possible one next well we got what Joker 2 next year, Batman Part 2 on the horizon, probably not next year but
We have
soon
dates for
ish.
those as well under the uh little things here. October 5th, 2025 for the
There we go,
Batman.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And
um
Joker is October 4th,
24,
2024.
yeah, we're up. Joker's gonna be the only thing we have next year,
Yeah.
which sucks, but if it's going to lead to what will potentially be the new universe, take the year off. I am
Yeah.
all for that. you know Make it right, make it
Yes.
good. So,
And
and I know we've got we'll get into it. Let's see. Honestly, uh, Brock, I think he's going to do the thing that we need is for them not to get scared away when negative reviews start, because the previous regime, the minute Man of Steel started having like people, I don't want to say firebomb it, but the minute that started having like negative feedback, they're all like, oh no, we have to have we gotta have the Marvel money, we gotta get like the Marvel numbers. Oh, we gotta change Batman vs Superman, we gotta change Suicide Squad. Like, no, we have to do this better. It's like, or let it go. Like, you gave Snyder a 5 film deal. Let him make those films. And then guess what? You would have been done with him by 2019, 2020.
you
And
wouldn't have had all that baggage.
you would not have had the giant fuck up that you had in 2017.
Yes,
All I'm
and
saying.
I agree with you as well, Joe, and I do think he has the right stuff to take DC forward. Just listen to his announcement. I don't think I've ever heard a exec, a studio head, uh, talk about the individual comic runs that inspire some of the films and projects that they're making. And then you go and see that all those comics that he talked about are all sold out of Amazon, sold out like
Not all sold
gangbusters.
out. There was
Most of
a
them
good
sold
point
out.
of the portion of them was, yes.
And
And I
then
will
you
say,
get and then you get DC Universe Infinite. It seems like it seems like there's some people actually like there's some cohesion and some synergy between different things because you got the comics being like, oh, come over here since they're all sold out in places, you can read it here
yeah,
free on our app.
that's how I'm reading. I'm currently reading Superwoman or Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow currently. Um Ironically, I share this with Chris and Clay in our group chat that we have for comic books. I found all the issues at Half Price Books, all the issues minus one. They were missing issue 7 of the 8-issue miniseries. I found them at Half Price Books. Now they were all full price, but I found them. I didn't
Well,
buy them. I left them there. Let somebody else take care of them because I've got DC Universe Infinite. I didn't get it when it came out, and I'm currently reading it, and I'm a little iffy on it if I'm being honest. Um,
well, right now, Joe, they're saying
I'll let somebody else take care of it.
get your first year of DC Universe Infinite annual
Yes.
subscription for 33% off using promo code Gods and Monsters.
Also,
That's how you promote. That's how you market. That is some synergy shit there that I like
DC
seeing.
Universe Infinite Ultra, they have all of those, basically every single thing that these movies and projects can be based on in a little section by itself.
Yes, you
If you
click
just
on
want
it,
to read that, go right to that.
which
They are doing wonderful things over there, which is
yes,
awesome.
it's very great, and we're not sure about this. MJS, are we heading towards Blackest Night storyline with the Green
I
Lantern
hope
show?
so.
Potentially, like that is a potential, especially where James. We'll talk about that. We'll get into that. Before we do anything else, we're going to take our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. Going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1.
A few moments later.
I
And it's
found the
back.
button.
It's back. And we're back as well. So, Joe, let's dive into some of these films first. We'll go through the films, then we'll
Okay.
go through the television shows. So, I'm going to go through the Variety article this time because last time I obviously did when I was going through the DC Direct. So, I'm going to go switch it up a little bit here for this one. Superman Legacy. This is the first film. We'll talk about the 2013 films and the Elseworlds in a little bit, but really, Superman Legacy is the first film set to open July 11th, 2025. Superman Legacy will mark the start of the DCU, as Safran put it, but will not be an origin story of the proverbial Man of Steel. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Safran said he's the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. Shout out the world. Uh, he is kindness in a world that thinks kindness as old-fashioned. And Gunn is writing the project, and Safran said he hopes Gunn can be persuaded to perhaps to direct as well. Uh, Gunn, sitting right next to Safran, remained uncharacteristically poker-faced in the response. And Warner Brothers CEO Dave Zaslav obviously said like Superman is a top priority for him. And James Gunn says Superman is for everyone. That's a 4-quadrant film that should speak to everyone in the world. And they made a little note here saying a separate Superman movie produced by J.J. Abrams through Bad Robots and written by Tallahassee Coates remains in development and what exists outside DCU in the Elseworlds continuity.
Well,
But what do you think about Superman Legacy, Joe? Are you excited?
I'm very intrigued about the comment of that's gonna be a big ass year. Shit.
Got to
Didn't think
live
about
for
that.
2025 now, Joe.
Yeah. As I do like James Gunn directing. I liked the Suicide Squad. I've liked the Guardians movies. I don't know if I want him to direct Superman just yet because he's running the studio. Him writing projects, no problem. Like that's fine because at that point, when the director comes on, they can change things that as they need, as they see fit.
Well, Joe, he's
Him being
just saying
director, I
that.
don't know.
he said exactly what you just said as well. When he said directors come in, he said the main thing here will be directors, writers, like they're given creative freedom
Yes.
and to show their own ability. Like he's done what doesn't want. And another thing he said is no projects will start. This is so refreshing, so refreshing. No projects will start from DC Studios without a fully completed script. He said he's
Oh, that's
seen it
good.
too
Yes.
many times where you go in with 3/4 of a script, or they rip out part of the script that you're just starting. You have to write on the fly. That none of that shit is going to happen here, and that is super refreshing. I'm super excited for the Superman film. I'm a little nervous. I will say this is the property I'm most nervous about of everything that was announced. Just
This
because
is
some
the
of the things
one.
they said about it, Joe.
This is the one that it comes. Let's be honest, comes with a lot of baggage, like
Hmm.
because of everything that happened with Cavill and the way they handled that. Yeah, like I'm hoping for the best. You
Oh, I
know,
want to
it's
love
one of
this
those things
film.
where you have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst just in
Mhm.
case.
What I didn't like was he is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
He is kindness in a world that thinks kindness as old fashioned.
But see, that's
I'm
not if
no, I know it can go really well. I'm just nervous sometimes with this. It was sometimes with that line and like that line of thinking, you go too far into
they
corniness.
lean too heavy into it, which
And now
I
I'm a little
feel like
scared because we both went through all four Christopher Reeve Superman films,
but
and by
those
the
were
end
in
they
the
went
70s and
far.
80s,
Oh, I know, but
and those had totally different time, totally different mindset. I'm currently watching Superman Lois. I just finished that. And seeing how that did a wonderful job leaning into kindness while balancing Superman being a hard ass. You
mhm.
know, like I there is a way to do this and do it right. It's just you can't, as much as you can model after projects that have already happened, you still have to find your own way, you
Yes.
know?
And Joe, I just because of that, I'm just a little nervous about that. That's the only thing that little bit of I don't want him to be too corny. Like I know that he has to be a little bit corny. That's Superman. That's part of Superman is that bit of corniness. It was just like in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated series as well. Sometimes he would come in with this corny remark, a little bit like Cat in a sense, like language type thing. Like there is a bit of corniness
Sure,
with
but
Superman.
we had a year, well, when he was doing the language thing, we had 3 movies under our belt with him in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, like, by that time, you already understood the character,
Hmm.
and you were fine with him doing the joke of, "Hey, language." This Superman movie, Superman Legacy, it's a younger Superman,
Yep.
not year 1, so you could say year 2, year 3. My guess is you're already gonna have him established at Daily Planet. You're gonna have him establish relationship with Lois. So they're gonna have that corniness already to each other. I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's gonna go full really.
I had to slide across, Nathan.
Anyway. Um I let's see what they're going to announce before we start crucifying anybody.
Oh yeah, like there's no. I'm just saying a little bit of trepidation on my end, just for that little bit. But just even when you talk about not being an origin film, we don't have to see Krypton. Like I don't. It's just like the Batman, like the death of the Waynes. I don't need to see Krypton explode again. I got the handle on what happens
Yeah,
there.
the Batman did it great. He's already had a year under his belt, roughly. So he's going out there. He's been Batman for this time, and he's a myth. He's the terror that strikes in the night. Like it's wonderful. I like that. You don't need to see the origin story every single time they make a new project. Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy is a different matter. That thing started and ended by itself, and that's fine. The Man of Steel, we didn't really see an origin. Like it was an origin of sorts,
Yeah, well, kind of
but
was an
like
origin.
it was just I don't know. I wobbly. I just finished season 1 because we're talking about it. I factored or what I do, schedule it out. I have to watch 3 episodes a week to be caught up by the time season 3 comes out. So yeah, I'll get into it later, but I really enjoyed the season.
That's such a good show, like such a good show, and we got some
I think the
positive news about that.
benefit is that I'm watching it all after the fact and not watching it week to
Well,
week.
the season 2 is where that was. Season 2 CW tried to break me as a fan. Like, they literally tried to break me with month breaks. Here's an episode, month break. Here's an episode, month break. Oh my god! Like the way that you and Nathan are doing it, we're watching it now. I'm so jealous. Not gonna lie. Like there was parts of time I wanted to just fire my phone when I
Oh, yeah,
look
that
at the date.
Sorry,
Especially we were doing DC. We were reviewing every episode of Superman and Lois. So tell you how frustrating that got. Where you're all over the place. Oh, I guess
I
4 months
remember
off again.
listening to you guys being annoyed. I didn't listen to the reviews, but like on the main show, you
Yeah,
guys
I
were
say on the
getting
main
annoyed by it.
show all the time. But yeah, so I'm excited about Superman. Just a little nervous, and myself and Joe, we're not at all about giving our casting choices because
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't know. I don't
I
know
don't know
actors.
anybody. I don't know any actors. So
Like
yeah,
Clay did the wonderful. Clay kept up on that, and props to him. But I can't, my dude. Like I don't,
dude,
I don't care.
I
Like
don't
just
know the young
just
people. Just give me.
announce
I will say
somebody, and
I
they're like,
want an
oh yeah, he
unknown.
looks cool.
I want an unknown that we can grow with the character. I don't need Leo DiCaprio. I'm just throwing out a random name. I don't need established actor as Superman. Give me young. Give me the established supporting cast, like what they did with Man of Steel. The only thing I'm going to say, better make more than Man of Steel. That's all I'm going to say. Like that's probably why Gunn
He did. He got
doesn't
Batman vs
want to
Superman, and
direct
then
it.
2 Justice Leagues.
But yeah, just please make. I don't want people to chirp it. So please, I won't see most of it because they have a lot of those toxic people blocked. But please make more than Man of Steel. That's
I
all
mean,
I ask.
that's how Tobey. I mean, Tobey Maguire was a name before Spider-Man, but so was Andrew Garfield.
Yes, that's why.
Like,
That's why when we talk about
but
Booster,
Age did wonderful.
I have some thoughts about Booster when we get there. So on to the next thing, the Authority, Joe, and that is something that I don't know that much about. They say here, from global fame to relative obscurity, Superman Legacy will lead directly into the Authority, an ensemble movie about superhumans who have less than idealistic approach to saving the world. Gunn spoke to some length about the Authority, a project he said he's really excited to bring to life. The characters come from Wildstorm, which was launched in 1992 as an independent entity under the current DC Comics chief Jim Lee, and ultimately made an imprint of DC. The Wildstorm characters were later folded into the main DC Comics universe when the company rebooted its continuity with the New 52 initiative in 2011. Gunn said he and Safran intend to do the same with the Wildstorm characters in the DCU. As a comic, the Authority was created by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch as an ends to justify the means superhero team, an approach that appealed to Gunn Safran's desire to diversify the storytelling within the DCU. It isn't just a story of heroes and villains, and not every movie and TV show is going to be about the good guy versus bad guy. Gunn said there are people that are very questionable, like the Authority, who basically believe that you can't fix the world in an easy manner, and they take things into their own hands. Added Safran, they're kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that. Gunn said the film is being written now, but he declined to say who the screenwriter was. So I'm excited
So,
for the Authority.
like I said, I've got Stormwatch, which has some of the characters, Midnighter, Apollo, part of the Authority. I don't know any of the other characters. I know that they're important, but that's how I know those characters. I don't.
Yes.
I would like to read the Authority. It's on the list before the movie comes out. But it's one of those things where I don't know much about them either. I talked about it before, just about the characters I know. Will it out boys the boys? I doubt it,
But
but
I think that's what
it
they're
could get
going for here.
close.
I think that's what they're going for here out in the game.
They are an edgy. They're an edgy group, edgy, but like they're one of those groups that don't really listen to authority.
No, and
Shocker.
they don't they wouldn't turn themselves in if they made a mistake or anything like that. They're not your Justice League. And I think going from Superman Legacy to this will directly influence Superman into forming the Justice League, in my humble opinion,
Okay.
because of the crap that these guys pull if they exist in the same time and place as Superman. So that's one thing. And with on the game talking about the boy, like them trying to out boys the boys, I think it's a good idea to try to make a show similar to that. And I think they're doing that in a myriad of ways. They're doing that. They're making a Game of Thrones type show with Paradise Lost. That's what they said in the build-up. They're making a True Detective type show with Green Lantern. So I feel like it's not a terrible idea. Like, it worked in the realm of Joker for the first Joker, where you used a comic book property to tell a different story, which is a taxi driver, like a one man like delusional story. And here you can do the same thing. You're going to use the lanterns to tell a true detective story, and you're going to use the women of Themyscira to tell a Game of Thrones like story.
Thanks, Nathan.
Of the throne. So I do think there's something to this, and with the game saying that about Out Boys the Boys, I do think you will get some feelings of the boys when you're watching this. But I feel like this is just a great contrast for Superman.
It will be a dark take on superheroes.
Yes,
but it's not going to be. It's not going to be, Tiny Man going into a man's penis.
Few minutes, and we'll get to that, sir. I promise you. So the next film, Joe, we have to keep going down the list. Obviously, there was no date given in this breakdown for the Authority. I assume there is one in the.
The only one that had a date was Superman Legacy.
Yeah,
I think because, like I said, that is starting the
universe.
The universe.
And there's also, as well, we want to say that not everything that we were given, that's not the full chapter one. There are other things in there. Some things James Gunn didn't want to give away because you might, like, the title might give away some of their plans. So I'm all for that. That's completely fine by me. The next film, Joe, is The Brave and the Bold. And this one I was not expecting to get, and I am fully excited. Along with introducing the DC's version of Batman, who will exist separately from the version played by Robert Pattinson in the Batman movies. That's in the DC Elseworlds banner. The Brave and the Bold will introduce the Bat family, Gunn said. First among them is Robin, who's returning to fully live action movies for the first time since the great hit Batman and Robin. This version of Robin is Damian Wayne. Gunn described him as our favorite Robin, a little son of a bitch, an assassin, and a murderer. Damian is Bruce's biological son, a fact unknown to Wayne for the first 8 to 10 years of Damian's life. It's very strange sort of father-son story about the two of them. The project is based on the run of Batman comics authored by Grant Morrison, who Gunn said was exceptionally influential on the DCU. The other comic writers Gunn mentioned by name was Tom King, who participated in the DCU writer's room and leads right into the next feature project. What do you think about The Brave and the Bold, Joe?
I mean, we're getting Robin on the big screen, so
inject it into my veins.
The interesting thing is the picture that was shared with that, and with Grant Morrison's run, that Batman is Dick,
not Bruce, yeah.
So I don't
Bruce,
think we're going to
Bruce comes back in the second part of that story, right? Like, he's on the cover for the second cover. That's Bruce as Batman. Or am I wrong on that? Oh, okay.
The Batman and Robin run was all.
I thought Morrison wrote some Bruce.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, okay.
He started out with Bruce, and then Batman R.I.P. happened.
Yes,
killed,
okay.
And then Final Crisis happened, which killed Batman. I gotta use the air quotes. Set him back in time, and then there was a whole him coming back in time.
Podcast listeners that aren't watching YouTube are just like, "What? He killed twice? What?"
Yeah, again, Batman R.I.P. and Final Night were running at the exact same time, and like the last couple of issues ran into and you, as soon as you got done with Batman R.I.P., you had to go into Final Night to see what was going on. And what he had him, Batman, Bruce there. Dick came back and became Batman for his run on Batman and Robin. Great run, by the way, too. That is an amazing read. And it led into, obviously, like I said, Bruce coming back and donning Robin, or donning the Bat costume again. And then both Bruce and Dick were Batman at the same time. And Bruce started Batman Inc., which was the Batman around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten a few different Batman Inc. comics since then, a few different runs. all have been good, decent, been fine. Now if this is the case that eventually we're going to lead into a Batman Incorporated movie or TV show, that would be awesome. That could give the excuse to have, Red Hood, to have Nightwing, to have Batwing, Knight and Squire, what's his name? A couple other ones. I mean, there was Tinian just created a guy. Oh crap, what was his name? Nope, can't think. Ghostmaker, got it. Like
yes, I was just going to bail on it.
I was about ready to bail on it. It really was. Like, there's potential there if they wanted to try that down the line. Not saying they got to do it now, but all in all, Brave and the Bold coming out, love it. A Batman and Robin on the big screen, love it. I mean, people have been clamoring for that for a while, and especially after BVS. But I'll just put it to you this way. I'm gonna be there day one for all these.
Oh, that's a given, Joe. That's not. I didn't think there's going to be something here. I'm not going to watch that right away.
Yeah.
I didn't think something would turn
Yeah.
you off. For me, this is my favorite project that was announced. I could not be more happy, especially about what they said about this. Bat Family? Are you kidding me? Do you know how hard it was to even get even in the animated shows, to get a mention of Nightwing? Like, good Lord. Like, I know in The Batman, that animated show, very underrated Batman animated show, you only see Nightwing in a video game. Like, Robin's playing a video game and you see Nightwing. That's the only time you see him in that The Batman.
God, I haven't seen that show in forever. I don't remember.
It's such a good show, but that's
I love it. I've got the
Romano's
DVDs
Batman
and the Blu-ray. I gotta sell DVDs.
So yeah, I really really am excited about this. And if you don't want to read all of the runs of Morrison for the Batman and if you want to get a sense of Damian, I would suggest the 3 animated film arc with
There you go.
Damian,
Okay.
son of Batman, Batman versus Robin, and then Batman Bad Blood. I would advise you to watch all 3 of those. Those are great. It's good for Damian. It builds him up a bit.
Yeah, and that's a quick
one.
run of Damian's character because
Yes.
like going in the comics,
Dick is in Bad Blood.
no-
Dick is Batman. So
yes,
so
in the comics there are. I loved when he was Robin to Dick's Batman. It worked. And then when Bruce came back and Damian was Robin to him, there was some animosity that Damian had towards Bruce, and it was fine, but just didn't feel right. For whatever reason, just the Dick Damian Batman Robin duo was just like perfect.
I will
storytelling was
say
great.
in the animated films they did a really good job of both, because by the very end, Batman and Damian were really cool.
Correct,
But
yeah.
they did do a good job of rotating all 3. I'm really excited for this property. And like I said, there's not going to be any casting from us because we don't know any young 10, 12-year-old actors. I'm okay with a 35, 40-year-old Batman, even a already established actor for this Batman. That's just my opinion on that.
We'll see.
Next up, Joe, based on Tom King's comic runs of the same title from 2021 to 2022, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow features Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, who, as Gunn explained, is a very different type of Supergirl. We see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he's an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock chip off of Krypton and watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life. You definitely did not watch the Legion of Superheroes animated film that came out. Gunn called this Supergirl much more hardcore, though King's series also involves Crypto the Superdog. What do you think about this, Joe? Are you excited for?
So, like I said, I am currently reading I'm practically in the middle of the 8-issue run. Yes, Nathan, I already said yes.
Agreed.
It's interesting. I like Tom King. I like his writing. This one it's Supergirl story, but it's from the point of view of this character that her father was killed and she's trying to hire somebody to track down the killer, and so that she can then kill him.
Mhm.
Supergirl kind of falls into taking her on, and so now it's become an escort mission slash whatever. Um, it's interesting, and I'm working my way through it. Chris has already finished it. He read it over the weekend. He really enjoyed it. Clay, I know, read because I mean we talk, especially with
Mhm.
comics. We kind of talk about all the stuff that we're reading when we read it, and all three of us were going to read this. Clay read the first issue, I think, when it originally came out, and then had to put it down because of the ending of that first issue. I'm not going to spoil it here. If you guys want to read it, DC Universe Infinite Ultra Plus Magnus, whatever the hell damn thing's called, do that. Or I I think they might. I don't know if the trade is out yet, but if it isn't, go pre-order it. I think go over to Organic Price Books, go pre-order it there if you can. I think it's on back order at the moment though, but it will get filled and you can go, get it from there. Plus, if you use what is it, Marvel GUA at checkout, you get $2 off.
What show is this, Joe? What show is this?
I'm promoting our brothers, okay?
That's true. That's true. And also shout out to them, guys. If you want to hear Chris and Brent talk about their quick thoughts on this slate as well. Obviously, they aren't DC hosts, but they did a little after credits talk on Marvel Alliance. So check that out. They also gave us a shout out there. So love between the two of us here, the two shows here. Yeah, Joe, I'm excited about this as well. I really enjoyed the Supergirl show. On the game says here the specific writers and directors selected for each of these 10 announced projects will be crucial. 100%.
And Gunn even said he's has a couple of them already. Like we
Yes.
don't know who, but like I guarantee, especially the films,
Christina
probably already
Hodson
know
is
who
definitely
they're
one of
gonna
them.
have.
Definitely one of them. So yeah, I'm excited, especially Gunn saying like the directors and writers are going to be given their creative freedom. He's not going to be like, he's going to get what you're doing. Like you're going to give him the pitch, you're going to give him, a script,
And he'll
and
still
then
have
he's going to let,
notes.
yeah, he'll still have
He's
notes, obviously, but he
ahead.
will
He's
let you
going
do
to.
your thing, obviously
Yeah.
there. So he knows that's what I do. Like you have Saffron making sure the budgets stay the way they are, and then you have Gunn making sure creative is handled. So it looks like a really good match. And final film, Joe, they have teed up for us. Easily the most extreme example of Gunn and Saffron's conviction to diversify the DCU. I don't know about that. Swamp Thing will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing, Saffron said, through the prism of horror. By way of explaining further, Gunn referenced the initial reactions to the Guardians of the Galaxy joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe and initial questions about how Rocket Raccoon would work standing up next to Thor. That mashup quality would end up being the highlights of Avengers. No, Gunn, no, that's not true. That no.
So here's what I want with the Swamp Thing movie. I know it's not going to happen, but this is what I want. I literally want the cast from the TV show to come to the movie. Like,
Yes,
you
I
already
love
have
that
the
TV
perfect
show.
cast.
When they after the first episode, when they were like, "No more, we're cutting down the amount of episodes we're making," it was a gut punch. I'm really happy with this. James Mangold has already put out a tease that basically saying that he's going to direct Swamp Thing, which I mean, sign me up any day of the week for that. And I love the character. I'm sorry, Gunn, though. I've never seen Swamp Thing and thought he was out of place when he's around other DC characters. Not like
But here's
with
the thing,
Rocket
though.
Raccoon.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, for the longest time, Swamp Thing, yes, he, especially in the 80s during Crisis, he did work with the DC Universe, but he was in Vertigo.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of have a connection to Constantine, who also had a little bit of a connection to the DC Universe, he was by himself. He didn't need anybody else. It wasn't until the 90s when he actually started being more in the DC universe. So if he is off to the side in a room playing with the weird and magical, fine. I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to connect to the DC universe overall. Will it? Yes, because that's the whole plan. But if it's its own thing, great, love it.
Well, it's I don't think it is as they're connecting it here with the other DCU announcements. But even that,
It will eventually. That's the thing. I think it might eventually.
I don't. But what he's saying here, but like people didn't know how Raccoon would work standing next to Thor. Like they'll work. Rocket's a CGI character. Like Swamp Thing's gonna work. You can put Swamp Thing next to.
Again, look at the TV show. That was practical.
Yes,
Look
so
amazing.
I have no. There's no qualms by that. I find that weird that you would
Look
put
at
that out,
the
especially with the
movie
TV
from the
show
80s.
existing.
That was practical. It was
No,
terrible.
it was dumpster fire. But I mean, if you made that in a DCU budget and it looked like that, like you
Right?
didn't need to, you don't need to say that to me, Gun. Like we know that it's going to look good. Like you don't need to. There's no trepidation, mainly because you did that with the Guardians. Like people don't worry as much now that there's going to be a character that looks like he's out of place with other characters. So I just felt like that was a little unnecessary in my opinion. But still, I'm really excited about this. Joe, before we get into TV
Correct.
shows,
On the game, Man Thing totally worked. Or
yes.
I'm sorry, his name is Ted. Shit, what was his name? I don't remember anymore.
Oh God.
Anyway, sorry.
So we will take an maybe our final ad break before we talk about the TV shows in this new slate. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. Before we get into the TV shows, let's just talk a quick moment about the 2023 slate that because Gunn talked about these films that are on the horizon, but he didn't go super in depth like his universe chapters. Shazam, Safran is producing, and Aquaman.
Thank you, on the game.
Ted, God damn it!
I was right. I'm just saying.
I
Anyway,
know,
sorry.
but yeah. So he talked about Shazam. Safran is a producer on that, like behind the scenes. So obviously that is something we had some Zachary Levi, kerfuffle, and Gunn said along the lines of, "Yeah, I can't like change my plans for every tweet that an actor does. Like it's not like that's not part of the thing here. Like I'm not going to change my entire slate plans for one actor." One actor's tweet that I disagree with, which is very refreshing. And he talked about the main one, Joe, that we got to get into a little bit is the Flash. And we had a question there from Mr. Balvin. Any thought about how James Gunn thinks the upcoming Flash movie is the greatest superhero movie? I will say that there was rumors of this before Gunn was even anywhere near the DC studios. Like people have said, every person that said that they came out that the execs at WBD were like, "This film's amazing." So I'm not as shocked that Gunn thinks this. And on the game said, which is a point that most people could take if you even don't think that it's a good film. If you think he's like kind of stretching it. He said he's got to sell all 4 of these movies for this year, and that's the one that's going to reset the universe.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We're going to watch all these.
Like, and I can speak a little bit about this. The little bit that I know of it, it looks good. Now, will every part of the movie be good? No. Like that, you can't have a movie from start to finish being amazing. You know, you're gonna have a little hiccups in the movie itself. But from what we know and what is rumored, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be it should be amazing. Like I don't know, like I don't without giving too much away. Like
I think it's competing with Ant-Man for the best comic book film of 2023.
Ooh, you think so?
That's my bold prediction right now. I think that it's going to be fantastic.
Still got Guardians coming out this year, so
ooh, okay. So
I was gonna say like
but Kang too. See, like I just saw a 15-second clip of Kang today, and I'm like, I'm so glad I got my tickets early, and I'm ready to rock for like.
That's my dad. The 16th is my dad's birthday, so I can't go to the movies that day because I think we're gonna do a dinner together, and then I've got a movie party thing Friday night. So the earliest I can see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium isn't until Saturday, probably. Which
stay after Twitter.
Fine.
You'll be fine.
I just don't have to be able to talk in the chat.
So yeah, all these are he just basically pumped them all, said they're all coming out. He was specific, like he was more overpraising for Flash than any of the other ones.
The one thing that I found interesting is, especially even with this graphic that we have behind us, is that Blue Beetle is, and yeah, all in the game, even post right here, Blue Beetle to surprise people. I think it will be good, but my reluctance is that I was hoping this could be a bridge to the new universe, that they could keep this character around. But that being said, we've got Aquaman 2 coming out, and Jason Momoa himself has said he's going to be playing Aquaman for a little while longer. So we could get a sequel to Blue Beetle and Aquaman down the line because, according to this graphic, Flash is reset in the universe, and Blue Beetle and Aquaman are after the fact.
I am 100% thinking that Blue Beetle is going to be in this new universe that Flash creates, that we're going to tell the stories from going forward. And
And they should be,
yes,
especially this is the first movie. This is a new character, and what other new characters are we getting in this universe? We're getting the Authority. We're getting Booster Gold. We're getting, new Superman, but like we're getting
lanterns,
Swamp Thing, Lanterns. Like Blue Beetle would just be right perfectly in there. And if we get Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, the show coming out, what are we gonna get later? I'm just saying, blue and gold. We got this.
That's what I mean, Joe. That's what I mean. So let's go. He's excited. He's excited. I'm glad he talked about him a little bit. And I'm with Al in the game. I think Blue Beetle's going to surprise a lot of people. I think that's going to be a underrated film that could do some numbers.
When little we know about it, I'm excited.
And
I think it will.
That's what
I think it actually will come up.
Yes, we're hoping
at some point.
I think with Gunn on the case too, if there was a chance, you could see Gunn even doing some sort of giving some notes where you can drop an Easter egg for that. For
have Blue Beetle show up like in the mid post credit scene or something of
or show old Ted Cord, or show something that you can call back to as Booster Gold was here and he came back, kind of deal. Just something that you might be able to tie them together. So let's get into the TV shows, Joe, that we have here, because it'll be a bit quicker because some of these aren't as heavy to talk about as the films. We have Creature Commandos, which is an animated series for HBO Max. That is very first project that's going to come out for Gunn and Safran. And Gunn has written every episode. The show is already in production. We got a picture of the Creature Commandos that came out this week as well. I had to look here. Let me just check it just to make sure. It's so, like I said, he already has this animated. He has the character designs picked here, so we're good to go for this show. And I just think that some of these characters were really going to they're going to tug at our hearts. I got a feeling that some of these characters are going to be just outrageous, but I got a feeling some of these, like Gunn's really good at making you feel for characters that you never thought you would.
We saw Weasel in there, so that's gonna be fun.
Yes, returning character, Joe. Returning character. So next up after Creature Commandos is Waller, with Gunn focused on Superman Legacy for the foreseeable future, which I really think he's going to direct if that's the case. Season 2 of Peacemaker has been put on hold. Instead, Team Peacemaker will appear alongside Viola Davis as a continuation of that show, Gunn said, which, spoiler for Season 1, ended with Waller's daughter outing Task Force X and Waller's role running it to the world, along with Crystal Henry, who is part of the DCU writer's room. Waller will be executive produced by Jeremy Carver, who we all know as the executive producer for Doom Patrol, which was recently canceled by HBO Max. They're crushing it. Safran said of Henry and Carver's work on Waller, it's just the greatest show ever. So both Creature Commandos and Wallers are expected to debut before Superman Legacy. Safran called them the for the DCU, the appetizers, I guess, for the DCU. That would be the easier way to say that.
In July,
yeah,
25.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, so we can get Creature Commandos in
July
like
11th,
whatever. Get them to show up, say in I don't know, January, February, and then we can get Waller to show up in April, May. Like fine.
Now, sir, we love those films as well. We have those 3 films. No one will ever take them away, and it's 9 hours that you can just hit play and enjoy. but I'm also ready for the new universe to not see some of these jokes like on the game or posting. That is apropos. I'm not saying it's not wrong on the game. I'm just saying I'm going to enjoy moving on to another universe now that doesn't have some of the baggage that we had.
We
in the previous
both would have loved to have seen
Yes,
the Snyderverse continue on in some way, shape, or form,
we're also
but
rational adults.
right there,
Yeah,
like it, because we know that the problems and the baggage, like we said earlier, that came with everything that WB did to Snyder. I mean, he's happier being away. I know this for a fact. My neighbor, who has worked with him on all three of those films and multiple other films of his, like he said, yeah, he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care about WB. Like
he's doing a Star
N-
Wars on Netflix. So
Netflix is giving him money. Why would he come back to WB?
he's doing a
So
Star Wars. He's doing Star Wars on Netflix. So I
yeah,
mean, like, come on. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see what James Gunn is going to do. And like I said, I've never seen somebody when they're introducing movies and that uh, promote the comics like he did this time. So uh, really excited. And those three DC films, sir, are still 1, 2, and 3 for me right now. But I'm always open to change. Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version, moved into my top 5 for the DCEU. So I'm still excited for what's to come here, and I can't wait to see what we're going to get with Waller. But next, Joe, is the show that has me the most excited. For two reasons. One, because it's lanterns about Green Lanterns, Hell Jordan,
buddy
and
cop. What did I say?
Buddy Cop. But also when they said true fucking detective, I nearly jumped out of my seat, Joe, because that is a show that I loved, especially the first season of True Detective. There isn't much better in terms of TV shows ever as the first season of True Detective. So to say that to me, I'm like, okay, yes, I am in. I am in. What are you going to find? And like people said in the chat about Blackest Night, you could
I,
really
I
go.
mean, especially for a series,
Yes,
Blackest Night would work perfectly if they continue Lanterns on. Like if they get a season
mhm.
2, although Blackest Night would probably be like a season 3 thing, um, or even farther in the down the road. But yeah, like yeah, yes, I'm here for it. This is gonna be awesome.
This is the best thing about this because this project is separate from the Green Lantern series that was being developed by Greg Berlanti for HBO Max. That's no longer moving forward. Greg's vision was more of a space opera. Saffron said, "Our
But it
vision
also didn't
is
have
more true
Hal and
detective, terrestrial-based investigation story."
yeah, that one
So
also didn't have Hal and John as much. It was prominent on every other Green Lantern
yes,
because they wanted Hal and John for a movie,
that
allegedly.
never appeared, and
That
because
never happened.
we
Yeah.
got Martian Manhunter at the end of the film because you can't.
Well, calm down.
I like to put that in because where's he too? So Joel, where's John Stewart? Beware My Power, the animated film. That's about it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm really when they said True Detectives, Ollie, and obviously Ollie before Green Lanterns, but I think this could be. I love how they're modeling some of these shows off some hit shows that already exist, and that
Yeah.
brings me to Paradise Lost, and this is their
Yeah.
Game of Thrones ish story. Saffron said it is set in the island of Themyscira before the birth of Diana, aka Wonder Woman, which allows you to do stuff without having to deal with the Wonder Woman issue at the moment. It's really about the political intrigue behind a society of all women. Saffron said, "At Gun, how did that come about? What's the origin of the island of all women? What are the beautiful truths and the ugly truths behind all of that? And what's the scheming like between the different power players in that society?" The provocative title recalls the Paradise Island Lost comic series authorized by Phil Jimenez and George Perez, which followed a civil war at Themyscira. However, that run directly involved Wonder Woman. So there is no
Well,
Wonder Woman
yeah.
in this.
And especially the Gods and Monsters title for this chapter calls back to Perez's
Mhm.
uh first collection of Wonder Woman, because that was Gods and Monsters. It was her coming to the world and trying to defeat Eris, or I'm sorry, not Eris, Ares.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this got me intrigued. Only because, do you think, actually, let's see here all the game here. Treat It and Paradise Lost, like event HBO shows like House of Dragon and The Last of Us. Yes, I think they should, but I'm also intrigued because this potentially could lead us to a new Wonder Woman. Like this could be the way that they let Gal go.
Mm-hmm.
On the reverse side, this could easily be the way that they connect the Gal's Wonder Woman and Jenkins's Wonder Woman to everything. I don't know though. Like I feel like this might be they're out of getting her just saying bye.
It could be that, Joe. I like I said, I really think you have a like. I would love to see something else with her, but like I
I
said,
would love to
you
too.
have
She was
her.
a
She
the
just
wonderful Diana.
and she doesn't know how to get back to the island. She doesn't know anything that's happened to the island since she left in like World War One, and now like all this stuff has happened. So I would love partly to see that, but I'm also kind of intrigued about what they're planning on doing with the show, and even the Justice League animated series. There was a lot of Vault in Themyscira that kind of Hades and everything was back there. There's a lot of stuff like Gunn said there about uh, what is the beautiful truth and the ugly truths behind the island. So there are
And we
secrets that.
we've gotten a lot of stories in the comic books
Mhm.
about her going back to the island multiple different times, um, which was interesting because she couldn't allegedly. It's a whole thing.
They do it in the films. Very very rare that
Yeah,
they kept the
uh,
rule.
but it's it's just one of those things
She
where
doesn't know where the fuck Themyscira is. That
it's weird. I want to say that the rebirth storyline, when that started out, kind of answered some of those questions. Like every time she went to the island, it actually wasn't Themyscira; it was what she thought Themyscira should be. Um, and everything was like wrong. I guess I don't remember. It's been a minute since I've read those issues, so I'd be interested to see. My biggest thing is I'd be interested to see what comes about from this. This sounds awesome.
Mhm.
It's probably my least
Same,
like enthused out of all
same.
of it. But even that, like, what's the best terminology of it? So I know over on my other show, Comic Book Rundown, we've got the rundown reviews. I always say if I rate anything below a 5, I'm never gonna watch it again
Mhm.
because I rate everything out of 10. All of these projects already are at like a 7 for me,
Yeah,
like because I'm excited for all of them. Watching it can easily bring it down. This is probably like a 6.5. Like it's not something that I'm not going to not watch, but my excitement level for this versus everything else is, I mean, it's there, but it's not like not the not like the rest of it.
same for me right now. But that could change with
Is
you
easily
show
changed.
old players, you show Zeus. So show me anything.
Yeah,
Like we've
once
got.
we start, this is all just the initial announcement. Once we
Yeah.
start seeing the cast, we start
Mhm.
hearing synopsises,
Yeah.
synopsis.
Synopsis. I think
Once we start getting all that starts coming out, my excitement level for and all this stuff could easily jump up.
same, Joe. Same. I still. I. I. I think that they for things like this, if you pairing it up, you comparing it to House of Dragon, like Game of Thrones type stuff, I think that is a good idea when you don't have an actual super being behind it. I think doing this is the smartest way to go, just to keep people like pumped. And this will be their final project that we talk about. Uh, Finally, there's Booster Gold, which allows the DCU to fully stretch into outright comedy. While he may not be familiar to casual fans of DC, the character, also known as Mike Carter, is a fan favorite among devout readers. Saffron called Booster a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to today and pretend to be a superhero. In the 21st century, Mike is a disgraced former football star who uses a time machine on display at the Metropolis Space Museum. At Gun. Basically, Booster Gold is imposter syndrome as a superhero.
Booster is one of those characters. My first introduction to him was in Death of Superman.
Ooh.
And he's been around since the 80s.
Yeah.
He was part of the Justice League International, Justice League America, the one of the better allegedly Justice League stories. I still haven't read it. I need to. That ever came out, but the comics that they're promoting with this, and I have no idea who that is. Billy
Yeah, I was just going to
Magny.
say Billy Magnus. He could come in, burst. Billy Magnus could burst through my door and punch me right in the face, and I still wouldn't know who it was that did that to me. So,
No idea.
but
Like
on the
Travis
game,
said, we don't know people.
on the game, after enough episodes now, I trust your
Correct.
selection. So
100%.
we're DC Alliance is Team Billy Magnus
Sure, we'll go with that.
for Booster Jones because I
but
don't
so-
want Chris Pratt. I don't want Chris Pratt for this role.
Chris wouldn't be a terrible,
No, I know it's
but
not the
he
end
doesn't
all.
need to be it either. But no, anyway, what I'll say, what they are promoting for a read for Boost of Gold on DC Universe Ultra Infinite plus Magnus, whatever, is his run that came out after 52.
Okay.
The problem is you kind of need to read 52 to
Know what's going
see
on.
how he got to that point in that run. It's a great run. I read that whole run when it came out. I had them all at one point. It's a really good run because he then, instead of being the loser idiot, and even during what was it, Infinite Crisis, when sorry, that was Blue Beetle who was the good one, and then after that is when things started happening. Anyway, like 2000s, he's had a little bit of a resurgence. When 52 hit, he was a leading character in that comic series, and his role of being the buffoon in the universe kind of changed to him being the most important character you'd never heard of. So it's one of those characters where if you want to read his story in the comics, start with 52 and then read his run. I think it's like 32 issues, something like that. It's in the 30s, I believe.
On the game,
Yeah.
I just Googled him and yeah, you have my support 100%.
Oh,
I knew it was right to get behind you and just support you blindly without even looking because yeah, he looks like a perfect. And I don't want to say that like I'm not a person that doesn't enjoy Chris Pratt. He's my favorite person in Parks and Rec, like favorite cast member, my favorite Guardians member. Like I really enjoyed his performances in Marvel movies. Some of the just Passenger, some of just other movies I've enjoyed him in. It's just I'd rather have a unknown actors for these main DC heroes, and have like more established supporting casts. That's just what I want personally. But if Chris Pratt is Booster Gold, it's not like I'm not going to watch or go in. Oh, this is stupid. No, I'll just go in with an open mind, excited to see.
Plus, I don't know if I'm not saying he wouldn't, but I don't know if Pratt would do a series. I thought we talked about that in
He's
the
done some stuff for Amazon. I thought
Yeah,
Katie
like,
mentioned or something.
but aren't those like movies?
Maybe they're movies, but I don't think that's going to be that different, Joe, than something for like HBO Max like that when it's connecting to the main continuity. I don't
True.
see the Disney Plus Marvel shows being that much of a difference for the people. Like for Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, I don't think their time was much different than them filming Civil War or
True,
like,
but okay, yeah, no, you're right.
you know what I mean? Like I think that like I don't think that the distinction of TV show means nearly as much anymore. But on the game has a Chris Pratt already has too many IPs to his name. And will he
He's
do
just trying to get all of the rings.
will he do Chris
Yeah.
will he do Booster Gold's voice as just Chris Pratt, aka Mario?
Is Terminal Lista, is that a show? I thought that was a
Yes.
movie.
I think so.
Okay.
So it could be wrong with that though. I
No,
thought there was one show.
I trust all in the game.
Yeah.
Sorry, canonical. We already said it.
So, Joe, that is all of the DCU slate that was given to us. I want to stress that was given to us because we don't know. There's going to be some other things in the slate that we don't know yet. Maybe he can't reveal because it might show.
We probably won't get more
There could be a
until
Justice League
2025.
film in there, just hypothetically, and you wouldn't want to reveal that because it would kind of take away. Now, like if you put that after Brave and the Bold, you might tend to reason, okay, Batman and Superman are going to meet up and form the Justice League at some point before the Justice League film. So just keeping it this way right now might do wonders just for keeping people in the dark. And I'm all for that, Joe.
I mean,
But
honestly, I don't see us getting any more announcements until, like I said, late 2025, maybe early 2026. We've got to get, the 2025 slate started, and then we'll see how basically the landscape is laying, and then maybe they switch stuff up. I mean, I'd be surprised if we actually hear anything earlier than, say, October of 2025.
agreed. So, Joe, we only had a couple news items, but we talked about this for so long. So I'm going to push the news items to next week, and we're going to go into Joe's Superman and Lois thoughts for you ended off season 1, if I'm not mistaken, or did you
I
go into season
finished up
2?
season 1. I really wanted to start season 2, but I finished off season 1 of Superman Lois. Pretty good. Like, what we got here?
On the games
DCU.
asked DCU to skip Comic-Con fandom this year and wait till next year. No, I can see them totally going to SDCC this year and you getting maybe a Superman casting, maybe a couple other castings. I feel like, and maybe some directors as
You'll
well.
get announcements for what has already been announced on this slate. And
Yes.
you won't get anything after that.
No, but
Yeah,
you'll get
not this year.
casting. You'll get casting directors, stuff like that. Just that you can bring
Writers,
them
yeah.
out and go
Yep.
like, hey, these are all these people. Let's do our thing. But that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
So, Joe, last 3 episodes of Superman and Lois. What do you think about them, and what do you think
I
about?
really enjoyed them. I was we got a show that had Superman,
Mm-hmm,
Superboy,
mm-hmm.
Steel, and the Eradicator, and I'm just like, where's Cyborg Superman? Why don't we finish it off? Like, amazing job. The Jordan being taken over by whatever the Zeta Prime, whatever the hell his name was,
Yeah.
a little weird.
Mhm.
And the way that he lost, not lost it, but the way that he overcame it, I thought was cool. A little quick. Like, this is, yes, Lois had stated that he's been fighting his own emotions or wherever that, like his own inner demons or whatever, his whole life, which is, yeah, I did like how they kind of showed that at the beginning and they came back around there at the end. But I also feel like he just kind of overcame something that Superman himself had struggled with for that time, and he couldn't overcome Zod until literally last minute, and then Jordan was like, "Yeah, no, I got this." A little weird, still enjoyable.
I'm going to
Like,
just say to you,
I get it.
no, just trust Travis in saying that isn't even that. Okay, if that's weird for you, that's going to be number 2 after you finish the second season of the weirdest things that young kid has done.
Fair.
That's all I'll say. That's all
Fair.
I'll say.
Now seeing Nat show up at the end was cool, but I feel like I may have gotten spoiled on that, like her actually being in this universe, either by a clip or something for season 2, and she is alongside John Henry, and I could have easily just, after watching the episode where he does leave her in the old universe, could have easily filed that away of like, oh, it's just a flashback. But her showing up was cool. Her seeing Lois was like, uh-oh. Try to explain that. That's gonna be great.
It's tough.
Yeah. Let's see what else happened. Yeah,
I'm here trying to be super quiet and not show anything with my face on.
no, you're fine. Because I watched all of this stuff Saturday, and then instead of watching it like yesterday or today at work, I don't remember a lot of it.
But still, I knew you'd enjoy it, Joe. I knew you'd enjoy the show, and I'm excited for you to check out season 2.
Yeah, season 2. I'll hit up season 2 this weekend probably.
And I'm really interested to hear your thoughts after you're finished because I really do think the fact that I had to go along the roller coaster of like
Here's 2
2 weeks.
episodes and 3 weeks off, and then 1 episode and then a
I
week off. Yeah,
think that dampened my experience with the second season because at the very
it
end of
can
it,
hurt.
I wasn't as fun. I wasn't as happy with the final finale. But even then, I know I need to revisit that because I wasn't like I said, I was a little bit frustrated because I think they had a break between episodes 21 and or the last 2 episodes and the previous one. So I was
Yeah.
over it.
And this
So
was, I know you said you wanted to bump the news to next week, but this was a news item since we're talking about Superman and Lois.
oh yeah,
They
well,
stated that this is going to get 1 or 2 more
2 more
seasons.
seasons, which would
So,
really coincide with Superman Legacy coming out this
yeah.
end
So,
of
I mean, we're
Superman.
getting season 3 now. So, my assumption is we're going to get at least a season 4, if not a season 5.
And I think saying that kind of guarantees that if it's not with CW's Next Star, who has been cutting everything and they're only planning two scripted shows next year.
Yeah.
So if they cancel this because it's expensive, without a rate of $3 million an episode to make
Yeah, but they
this.
only do 15 episodes. Like,
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying with
it's
Gunn
not
saying
22 anymore, thank God.
with Gunn saying that we're getting a season or 2 of this, it's not in the realm of possibility to see this show up on HBO Max if this is
Fair.
dropped by CW. So
That's fair.
that's the positive thing that Joe was talking about there too, of saying we're getting at least another season or 2 of this. Gunn essentially said everybody seems to love it.
It's a good show. It really is.
We'll give them more. I'm like, dude, check it out. It's a really good show.
Oh yeah, I remember that the whole town was still mad at Kyle and Lana,
Yeah.
and the mayor is a skeezy little prick. Which I'm assuming that Lana is either going to run for mayor or have something to do with the mayoral. Yep. Okay. Cool.
I couldn't hide that. I just couldn't. I wanted to. I was going to put my hood up and just not even look at you, but I talk about that, Joe. This is like there's smiles when you're talking about some stuff that potentially could happen next season, and you just unfortunately
I ruined it for you, huh? All right.
got
Cool.
it out of me. I just thought about it again. I was like, oh God.
Anyway.
But still a fantastic show. I'm glad you're loving it. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on season 2.
Yeah, we'll see if season 2 like keeps with the hype for it.
Agreed. And our final thing of tonight, our retro recaps for Smallville. Joe, we have season 2, episode 4, Red. And I will say right off the top, while I did enjoy this one, I forgot. I thought this was, I think it's season 2, episode 14 or 2, episode 11, where Chloe is a part of it and Pete as well. And Pete is the one that gives Clark the red ring. So I had these two mixed up. This is the first appearance of Red Kryptonite, but we really get Clark being a bad boy later on in this season, I think it is.
I thought that
I thought
was
Chloe and Pete go down to caves and get infected with something, and then he puts the ring in Clark to get Clark on the bad side as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mixed those 2 episodes up when I was
Okay,
going
do
into this.
remember that.
But when they said Brad, and I was like, ring, I was like, Clark being bad. I was like, oh, I remember this. Like, he's in the back seat making out with Chloe, isn't he? Like, with no clothes on. And
See,
no,
I
that
remember, and I think this is end of season 4, maybe? No, end of season 3, when similar situation
oh
where
yeah, he goes total badass. Yeah, I
yeah,
know what
he's
you're
like,
talking
I
about.
don't want to deal with anything. I'm putting the ring on and move to Metropolis.
Yes.
Because that's when season 4 is when Lois has to go find him.
Yeah,
She
and
comes in.
ultimately Jonathan is the one that makes a deal with Jor-El to get powers to take him home.
Yeah.
But
no, that is
sits,
later.
but that sits into the motion why he dies, which I will always respect
Oh
them doing it
yeah.
because it weakens his heart, and that sets him up for the path of
That's right.
which I really appreciate, and you don't really hear that a lot. I'm really interested to see it. So
But that's later. We're gonna get to that later.
yes, Tocqueville talked about this, and the first thing I want to say about that is bravo, Tom Welling. He had the ring, Joe. He had the ring. Like there's a little thing that I actually thought that was cool. So look at you dug through every bit of crap you had to highlight the ring from the prop for this episode. That's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
this is an episode that he gave it a 2-star, like 2 roses. Like he loved this episode. It's an iconic episode. Like I remembered once it started happening. I remember this episode. I will say that the what was her name? Jesse? With the girl that shows up that Lana is, showing around.
Yeah.
And I know that the principal comes up and tells her that's not appropriate attire. No, it was not appropriate attire. It's definitely not appropriate attire for high school. But it's one of those things where when Clark stops him, and Michael and Tom even bring it up, it's like when Clark tells the principal off, the principal just like scoffs and runs away. No,
Takes it.
no, screw that. They don't do that. This girl is being walked out to the office, and her dad will be called to either take her home and have her changed
Joe,
or whatever.
when I was in school, I literally got called down to the office and threatened to kick me off of all the varsity sports teams
Because you were
because I got
best shirt with bra.
no, because I had two tests in one day, a biology and a physics. I got an 82 in biology and a 67 in physics, and they called me down in the office for a 67.
Oh,
Threatening to
what?
kick me off of teams. Yes, insane asylum. I got up and left, could not even believe that they were doing this. I was like, maybe you want to look at how many times I'm coming in late every day instead of like this. I was like, are you kidding me? 2 tests in one day? And
The most I had
didn't even study for physics.
I had a shirt that
Wrestling shirt?
no, I can't remember. It said something vulgar-ish on it. I don't remember. It was
Look
a
at you,
shirt
you badass.
I stole from my brother. But like I wore it to
Rebel.
school, and I went the whole entire day, no problem. The last period of my that day, the one teacher's like, "Hey, you need to cover that shirt up." Like, okay, like whatever.
We had
I had like a button-up shirt over top of it, so I just buttoned it up.
wrestling
but,
shirts. Wrestling shirts were always outlawed for us.
Wasn't wrestling. I don't remember what it was, but it was very late '90s, early 2000s. Let's put it that way. But yeah, like Tom and Michael had Jeff Loeb on.
What a great interview.
I'll be honest, I don't remember everything that they said, but I do I enjoyed it. They talked for like a half hour.
He talked a lot about how it worked and how like the two showrunners would pit the two writers' rooms against each other. Uh, it's really great, and Barack, it's because James Gunn has this policy right now where nothing is going into production until he gets a finished script. And right now, Matt Reeves is working on said script for the Batman Part 2. So that's about the right time frame, as Alan the Game says. 3 years between movies in a franchise, pretty standard. Yes, look at
3 years used to be the bare
Standard.
minimum
Yes,
back in the day. Now we're so used to it being 2 years or like a year and a half at least.
or already started filming when
Yeah,
filming
exactly.
once, yeah.
Or so it's like a year apart. Like we're so used to that in the last decade that having it be 3 years is just it's like, whoa, wait, what?
One thing
Like,
I will
I
say
always
about
go back
this
to
episode-
Star Wars, and Star Wars, if you look at the original trilogy, was 3 years apart. 77, 80, 83. And then even the prequel, 99,
takes
02, and then
especially when
05.
you're using CG, it takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
For this episode, the thing I enjoyed most and what really played from last episode is Pete being involved. Pete trying to help
Yes.
Clark, and that just
Figuring out, like, as soon as Chloe brings up the rock and figures out that the rings were made from meteor rock that, they're not rubies, they're meteor
Red
rocks that they
meteor,
get on
yeah.
cheap. And like he sees it and immediately was like, oh shit, and like grabs it and runs.
Yes, and I do love that. Like, I do love how he plays a role in this entire episode. So I enjoyed this episode, but it's not quite what I thought it was going to be compared to. I enjoyed the interview with Jeff Loeb the most from the Talkville podcast.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yes.
Blessed.
So, Joe, that ends our jam-packed DCU
Yeah.
Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters discussion. I know we're both excited. Well, we would be excited for whatever they announce. That's just the way that it is. And we're all feeling the same way. We love the Batman here, and we can't wait to see what Matt Reeves is going to do next. We are excited to see The Flash, Shazam, Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and then usher in a new DC universe.
We've got a big slate this year for movies. We are going to be covering all of them. We're looking forward to it.
And The Flash is what is setting up to be a gigantic ass event film. It seems like.
Yeah, it is.
So
again, just the little bit I know about it, man. Like, you're not ready.
Not at all, Joe.
You're not ready.
I can't wait, and I won't have any school. Oh my gosh, Bring me to the Flash time. So, listeners, thank you so much. We can't wait to hear more news about the DCU. On the game, Barack. Who else is in the chat here tonight? Wobbly Boots, Nathan, of course. Thank you for stopping by. MJ, Derpy. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week with more DC. Until then, see you.
Bye, guys.